The huge metal doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a loud hiss. Lisa Hayes walked into the room slowly, her blue uniform clean and simple. She looked small compared to the massive chamber around her. The room was built like a giant bowl, with seats going up high on all sides. 12 different alien species sat in those tall seats. Looking down at her like she was some kind of bug, Lisa stopped in the center of the floor. The aliens above her were talking to each other in their strange languages. Some made clicking sounds. Others spoke in musical tones. A few growled like angry animals. But Lisa understood every word they said. She had learned their languages. Years ago, a Zephyrian ambassador leaned forward in his seat. His skin looked like it was made of crystal, and light bounced off his face when he moved. His name was Lord Kekstar, and he was known for being cruel to other species. He smiled, but it was not a nice smile. "So this is what Earth sends us," he said in a voice that sounded like singing, but means singing. One small human female to talk for their whole planet. How ... toot. The other aliens laughed. Some made barking sounds. Others clicked their tongues. The hegemony admiral, Vos Kelton, waved his 6 arms in the air like he was swatting flies. He was huge, with green skin and eyes like a snake. "Humans think they are so smart," Admiral Kelton said. "But look at this one. She has no weapons. No guards. Just a simple uniform and a data pad. Do they really think she can fight our armies?" More laughter filled the room. Lisa did not move. She did not look angry or scared. She just stood there, with her hands behind her back, watching each alien carefully. Her green eyes moved from one to another, like she was studying them. The Nexari representative stood up. Her name was Prime Counselor Jalen, and she was very tall and thin. Her skin was pale blue, and her fingers were long like spider legs. She spoke in a cold voice that made the room feel even colder. "Human Hayes," she said, reading from a data screen. "Your species has been given a great gift. We are offering you 48 hours to leave the outer colonies. You can take your people to the worlds we have chosen for you. There you can live in peace." "It is more than you deserve," added General Raxmore from the Corvin Dominion. He looked like a giant lizard with sharp teeth. His scales were dark red, and his eyes glowed yellow. "Many of us wanted to just destroy your ships and be done with. But we are kind. We will let you live if you do as we say." Lisa finally spoke. Her voice was calm and quiet, but somehow everyone in the huge room could hear her clearly. "I thank you for your kind offer," she said, "but I am afraid I must say no." The chamber exploded with noise. Aliens were shouting, hissing, and making angry sounds. Some stood up and shook their fists. Others laughed even louder than before. Lord Kekstar raised one crystal hand, and slowly the room became quiet again. "Commander Hayes," he said, his voice dripping with fake concern, "I think you do not understand what is happening here. Earth has maybe 300 ships. We have tens of thousands. Your weapons are old and weak. Our technology is hundreds of years ahead of yours. What could you possibly do against us?" Lisa reached into her jacket and pulled out a small device. It looked like a simple data pad, the kind humans used every day. But when she turned it on, something amazing happened. Above each alien seat, a glowing picture appeared in the air. "I would like to show you something," Lisa said. "Think of it as a history lesson." The aliens looked up at the pictures floating above their heads. Numbers and charts appeared, showing the size of their empires over time. The Nexari representatives saw their empire shrinking from 47 star systems to just 12. The Corvin Dominion had gone from 3 entire galaxy arms to 1 small sector. The Zephyrian Confederacy had dropped from 200 worlds to 31. "Interesting pattern," Lisa said, walking slowly around the center of the room. Each of your great empires reached their biggest size about 70 years ago. Then something started to go wrong. Wars broke out. Rebellions happened. Economies crashed. Military disasters struck at the worst possible times. Admiral Kelton's 6 arms began to shake a little. What are you trying to say, human? I am not trying to say anything, Lisa replied. I am telling you a fact. For the past 57 years, one human agent has been working to destroy every major power in this galaxy. And that agent is standing right here in front of you. The silence that followed was complete. Not one alien made a sound. They all stared at the small human woman who had just claimed to be responsible for the fall of their mighty empires. Prime. Counselor Jalen was the first to speak. Her voice was barely a whisper. That is impossible. You would have been a child 57 years ago. Actually, I was 23 when I started, Lisa said. Human medical technology is much better than we let anyone know. We live much longer than you think. It helps when people think you are weak. General Raxmore's scales changed color from red to pale gray. You are saying that you, one person, caused decades of chaos across multiple star systems? Let me be more specific, Lisa said. She touched her datapad again, and new pictures appeared. These showed battles, assassinations, and economic crashes spanning many years. The Nexari Civil War in 2387, Lisa said, looking directly at Prime Counselor Jilin. I started the rebellion that split your empire in half. I convinced the outer colonies that the core worlds were planning to kill them all. The Prime Counselor's blue skin became even paler. The Outer Rim Rebellion killed millions of our people. The Corvin Fleet disaster at Sigma Draconis, Lisa continued, turning to General Raxmore. I gave false information to your admirals about a fake human superweapon. It made them move your entire battle fleet right into the path of that solar flare. That was a natural disaster, the general said, but his voice shook. Natural disasters do not usually happen exactly when enemy fleets arrive at exactly the right place to be destroyed. Lisa said, I watched that star for 3 years, waiting for the perfect moment. Lord Kekstar's crystal skin seemed to lose its shine. The Zephyrian trade wars ... My personal favorite, Lisa nodded. I spent 5 years pretending to be a trade negotiator named Lysa Hendricks. I slowly convinced your merchant groups to fight each other harder and harder. By the time they realized what was happening, your economy was completely destroyed. Admiral, Kelton's 6 arms were shaking more now. The hegemony has never fallen to human tricks, has it not? Lisa asked, and now she smiled like a predator. Admiral, who recommended Fleet Commander Zixander for promotion to your High Command 15. Years ago? That was Strategic Advisor Helena Cross. She served with honor for over 10 years before retiring too. The Admiral stopped talking as understanding hit him. Before retiring to a nice human colony world with a very good pension, Lisa finished. Helena Cross was me, and Commander Zixander has been telling Earth about all your fleet movements ever since. How do you think we have avoided your patrols so well? The aliens looked at each other with growing horror. Each empire had suffered terrible losses that had seemed like bad luck or poor planning. The idea that one enemy agent could have caused it all was almost too much to believe. But why? Prime Counselor Jilin asked, her voice full of pain. Why do all this? Lisa's face became hard and cold. Because 70 years ago, when humanity first met galactic civilization, we believed in peace. We sent Ambassador Catherine Walsh to observe your council, hoping to join your community of worlds. The room became very quiet. Lisa's voice carried the weight of old anger. You laughed at her. You called humans a pest species that would be contained or eliminated within a generation. Ambassador Walsh sat in this very room and listened to you plan humanity's extinction, like we were talking about killing insects. New pictures appeared above the alien seats. These showed old recordings of the first contact meeting. The aliens could hear their own voices from decades ago, casually discussing the complete destruction of the human race. Catherine Walsh came back to Earth with a simple message, Lisa continued. They will never accept us as equals. They see us as bugs, to be stepped on. So we decided to show you what bugs can do when they work together. Lord Kekstar found his voice. Catherine Walsh was your teacher? She was my mentor, Lisa said. When she died 20 years ago, she gave this mission to me. Every empire that planned humanity's death has fallen or been crippled. You four are. The last ones left. The great Galactic Council Chamber, once filled with the laughter of mighty empires, now held only the quiet breathing of broken civilizations and the steady footsteps of the human who had destroyed them all. The silence in the council chamber felt like death itself. 12 of the most powerful beings in the galaxy stared at the human woman who had just claimed to destroy their worlds. Lisa Hayes stood calmly in the center of the room, waiting for. Their shock to pass Doc Prime Counselor Jilin was shaking. Her long blue fingers gripped the arms of her chair so tightly that her knuckles turned white. She spoke in a voice that cracked with fear. You cannot be serious. Even if what you claim is true, you are just one person. How could one human bring down entire civilizations? Lisa smiled, but it was not a warm smile. It was the smile of someone who had spent decades planning revenge. She touched her datapad again, and new pictures filled the air above each alien representative. Let me tell you exactly how I did it, Lisa said. The Nexari Civil War did not start by accident. I spent 3 years living on your outer colony. Worlds pretending to be a simple trade worker named Lucy Barnes. I made friends with the colonists. I listened to their complaints about the core worlds. I learned about their fears. The pictures above Prime Counselor Jalen showed documents and recordings from those years. Lisa had been everywhere, talking to everyone, planting ideas like seeds in fertile ground. Then I started spreading rumors, Lisa continued. Small ones at first. Stories about how the core worlds were keeping all the best resources for themselves. Tales of secret meetings where government officials talked about the outer colonies like they were worthless. I even forged some documents to make it look real. Those documents were fake? The Prime Counselor whispered. Every single one, Lisa replied, but they contained just enough truth to be believable. Your government really was treating the outer colonies badly. I just made it look much worse than it was. When the colonists finally rebelled, they truly believed they were fighting for their lives. General Raxmore's red scales had turned almost gray with shock. And the Sigma Draconis disaster? How did you know about the solar flare? Lisa turned to face him. I did not just know about it, General. I spent 5 years studying that star system. I learned everything about its cycles, its patterns, its dangerous periods. I knew exactly when it would flare and how big the flare would be. She manipulated her datapad, and a detailed star chart appeared above the Corvin representative. It showed years of observations, calculations, and predictions about the star's behavior. But knowing when was only half the battle, Lisa continued. I also had to make sure your fleet would be in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. So I became Dr. Helen Carter, a human scientist who claimed to have discovered a new type of weapon. Dr. Carter was you? General Raxmore asked, his voice barely a whisper. I spent 2 years building false evidence of this weapon, Lisa said. Fake test results, staged demonstrations, even a few real explosions in empty space to make it look convincing. Then I made sure the information reached your intelligence services through channels that made it look like a security leak. The general's yellow eyes were wide with disbelief. Our entire intelligence network was fooled by fake evidence? Your intelligence network was fooled because they wanted to believe it, Lisa explained. The idea of a human superweapon was so scary that they did not look too closely at the evidence. Fear makes people stupid, General. I have used that fact many times. Lord Kekstar's crystal form was trembling. His voice sounded like breaking glass when he spoke. The trade wars. You said you were trade negotiator Lysa Hendricks. We worked with you for years. You helped us make important deals. I helped you make deals that slowly destroyed your economy, Lisa corrected. Every contract I negotiated, every trade agreement I suggested, every business partnership I recommended was designed to create conflict between your merchant groups. New images appeared above the Zephyrian representative, showing complex financial documents and trade agreements. Lisa had been incredibly thorough, creating a web of competing interests that eventually tore the Zephyrian economy apart. I convinced the Crystal Merchants Guild that the Metal Traders Association was trying to steal their customers. I told the metal traders that the energy brokers were plotting against them. I made each group believe that the others were their enemies. But those deals made sense at the time, Lord Kekstar protested weakly. They made sense because I designed them to make sense, Lisa said. Each individual deal was profitable for someone. But taken together, they created a system where everyone had to fight everyone else to survive. It was like setting up a room full of hungry animals and then slowly reducing the amount of food available. Admiral Kelton's 6 arms were shaking, so badly that he could barely hold on to his chair. You said Commander Zixander has been spying for you, but Jake Morrison is married to my daughter. He has children with her. How could he betray his own family? Lisa's expression softened slightly. Admiral, Jake Morrison really does love your daughter and his children. He is not betraying them. He is protecting them. I do not understand. The Admiral said, 15 years ago, when Jake was just a young officer, I approached him with a simple choice, Lisa explained. I showed him classified documents that proved the hegemony was planning to attack human colonies where his parents and sister lived. I told him he could either help me protect those colonies by providing information, or he could watch his human family die in the coming war. The Admiral's snake-like eyes widened. You blackmailed him? I gave him a choice between 2 families, Lisa corrected. He chose to protect both. Every piece of information he has given me has been used to avoid conflicts, not start them. Your daughter and children are safe because Jake made sure the hegemony and human forces never met in battle. Prime Counselor Jalen found her voice. Again, how many others? How many of our people have been working for you? Lisa consulted her datapad. Over the past 57 years, Earth Intelligence has recruited approximately 2,000 agents across your 4 empires. Some were volunteers who believed in our cause. Others were blackmailed. A few were simply paid very well for their services. A number hit the aliens like a physical blow. 2,000 agents, working for decades, embedded in every level of their societies. Your military commanders, your diplomats, your scientists, your news reporters, your business leaders, Lisa continued. We have people everywhere. Some of them do not even know they are working for us. They just think they are doing their jobs, making normal decisions based on the information they receive. Information you control, General Raxmore said bitterly. Information. We influence, Lisa corrected. We do not control everything. We just make sure that when important decisions need to be made, the people making those decisions have the facts we want them to have. Admiral Kelton leaned forward. What about our intelligence services? Surely they detected some of this. Lisa actually laughed. Admiral, who do you think has been running your counterintelligence operations for the past 10 years? Director Sarah. Kim of the Hegemony Internal Security Division has been filing reports with Earth Command every month since she took the job. The Admiral's face went pale. Sarah Kim works for you? Sarah Kim graduated from Earth Intelligence Academy 20 years ago, Lisa said. She applied for the position in your security division using a perfectly legitimate background that took US 5 years to create. She has been protecting our other agents and misdirecting your investigations ever since. Lord Kekstar's crystal form was dimming like a dying light. We never had a chance, did we? You had already won before we even knew there was a war. The war began 70 years ago when you laughed at Catherine Walsh, Lisa said. You just did not realize it was happening. Every disaster, every conflict, every economic crisis was a battle in that war. You kept losing because you never knew you were fighting. Prime Counselor Jaelin's voice was hollow. What happens now? You have destroyed our empires, infiltrated our governments, turned our people against each other. What more do you want? Lisa's expression became serious. Now, Counselor, I am going to give you the same choice you gave humanity 70 years ago. The only difference is that I actually mean it when I offer it. She touched her datapad 1. More time, and a new image appeared. It showed the largest fleet of spaceships anyone in the chamber had ever seen. Thousands of human vessels, all armed with weapons that looked far more advanced than anything the aliens possessed. In 6 hours, the United Earth Fleet will begin operations against all remaining installations of your empires, Lisa said calmly. But unlike 70 years ago, this is not a demand for your extinction. This is an offer for your survival. Aliens stared at the massive fleet on the screens above them. After decades of defeats and disasters, they had no strength left to fight such a force. What kind of offer? Admiral Kelton asked quietly. Lisa's smile returned, but this time it was not cruel. It was the smile of someone offering a gift. Join us, she said simply. The Terran Federation is prepared to offer full citizenship to any species that chooses to become part of our new government. Your people would have the same rights, the same opportunities, the same protections as any human citizen. The chamber was silent as the representatives considered this unexpected offer. They had expected conquest and death. Instead, they were being offered equality and life. The Galactic Council Chamber had become a tomb of broken dreams. The 4 most powerful alien civilizations in the galaxy sat in stunned silence, staring at the human woman who had just offered them a choice between joining her or dying. Lisa. Hayes stood in the center of the room, waiting patiently for their answer. Prime Counselor Jaelin was the first to break the silence. Her long blue fingers trembled as she spoke. Commander Hayes, you ask us to trust the very species that has spent decades destroying us. How do we know this is not another trick? Lisa nodded as if she had expected this question. Because, Counselor, tricks are only useful when you need to hide your true strength. I am no longer hiding anything from you. You have seen our fleet. You know about our agents. You understand what we are capable of doing. She gestured toward the images of the massive Earth fleet still floating above their heads. If we wanted to destroy you completely, we would not need to ask permission. We would simply do it. The fact that I am here, offering you a choice, should tell you that we want something different this time. General Raxmore leaned forward in his seat. His red scales had returned to their normal color, but his yellow eyes were still filled with fear. What guarantee do we have that you will treat us as equals? Your people have every reason to hate us for what we planned to do 70 years ago. You are right, Lisa admitted. Many humans do hate you for what you tried to do to us. But hatred is not a good foundation for building a civilization. Catherine Walsh taught me that revenge is only worthwhile if it leads to something better. She touched her datapad, and the fleet images changed to show something else. Cities on different worlds with humans and aliens working together. Space stations where different species shared knowledge and resources. Schools where alien and human children learned side by side. This is what we have built on the worlds that have already joined us, Lisa explained. Former enemies living as friends and neighbors. It is not perfect, and it was not easy, but it works. Lord Kekstar's crystal form flickered as he processed this information. You have already begun this federation? Other species have joined you? 17 species have joined the Terran Federation over the past 10 years, Lisa said. Most of them were smaller civilizations that you 4 empires had conquered or threatened. They saw our offer as their chance for freedom and protection. Admiral Kelton's 6 arms moved nervously. And they are truly treated as equals. Better than equals in some cases, Lisa replied. The Alterian people are much better at mathematics than humans. They now run most of our engineering projects. The Vorthen are natural diplomats. They handle many of our negotiations with new species. Everyone contributes what they do best. The Admiral considered this for a moment. Commander Hayes, you said your fleet would begin operations in 6 hours. What exactly does that mean? Lisa's expression became serious again. It means that in 6 hours, human ships will arrive at every major military base, government center, and industrial facility controlled by your 4 empires. They will be accompanied by local resistance forces that have been waiting for this moment for decades. She manipulated her datapad, and detailed battle plans appeared above each representative. The scope of the operation was staggering. Hundreds of worlds, thousands of installations, all to be attacked simultaneously. Your people on those worlds will have the same choice you have now, Lisa continued. Join the Federation willingly, or be conquered and then offered membership afterward. Either way, your empires as they exist today will cease to exist in 72 hours. Prime Counselor Jaelin's voice was barely a whisper. 72 hours to end civilizations that have existed for thousands of years. Civilizations that were already dying, Lisa pointed out. We have been watching your decline for decades. Your populations are unhappy. Your economies are failing. Your military forces are spread too thin to maintain control. We are not destroying healthy societies. We are putting sick ones out of their misery. General Raxmore stood up slowly. His massive lizard-like form towered over his chair, but somehow he looked smaller than before. If we agree to join this federation, what happens to us? Do we become prisoners? Servants? You become citizens, Lisa said simply. With all the rights and responsibilities that come with citizenship, you can run for government positions. You can start businesses. You can travel freely throughout Federation space. Your children can pursue any career they choose. And if we prove troublesome, Lord Kekstar asked, then you will face the same justice system as any other citizen, Lisa replied. Federation law applies equally to everyone, regardless of species. There are no special privileges and no special punishments, based on where you came from. Admiral Kelton was quiet for a long moment, then asked the question they were all thinking. What about war crimes? What about the things we have done to other species over the centuries? Lisa's expression softened slightly. Admiral, the Federation operates on the principle that people can change. We are more interested in what you do going forward than what you did in the past. However, that does not mean there are no consequences. She showed them another image. This one displayed a massive construction project in space. Thousands of workers from different species were building what looked like a huge space station. This is the memorial station being built in the Kepler system, Lisa explained. It will serve as a monument to all the species and individuals who died because of imperial conquest and oppression. Every member of the Federation, including former imperial leaders, contributes to its construction and maintenance. A memorial to our victims, Prime Counselor Jaelin said quietly. A memorial to everyone's victims, Lisa corrected. Humans have done terrible things too, in our own history. The memorial station reminds us all of the cost of putting power above compassion. The four representatives looked at each other. Decades of rivalry and competition seemed meaningless now, faced with the choice between cooperation and extinction. Finally, Prime Counselor Jalen spoke for all of them. Commander Hayes, we need time to discuss this among ourselves. How long do we have to decide? Lisa checked a device on her wrist. You have 4 hours and 37 minutes before the fleet begins its operations. However, I should mention that some of your people have already made their choice. She touched her datapad again, and communication signals began playing through the chamber's speakers. Voices in different alien languages filled the room, all saying similar things. This is Governor Meldar of the Nexari colony world Valfon. We formally request admission to the Terran Federation and renounce all loyalty to the Nexari Empire. Corvin Defense Fleet Sigma announces our surrender to Federation forces and requests immediate protection from Dominion retaliation. The Zephyrian Trade Guild on Crystalline Station declares independence from the Confederacy and seeks Federation membership. Hegemony 4th Fleet Command requests safe passage to the nearest Federation world for asylum proceedings. The messages continued for several minutes. Dozens of worlds, fleets, and organizations were abandoning their empires and asking to join the Federation. The rebellion was already beginning. Admiral Kelton slumped in his chair. It is over, is it not? Even if we refuse, our empires are falling apart. Yes, Lisa said gently. But that means you have a choice to make. You can go down with your empires as their last leaders, remembered as the ones who chose pride over the lives of their people. Or you can help guide your species into a better future as the first leaders to choose cooperation over conquest. Lord. Kekstar's crystal form was pulsing with different colors as he processed the emotions he was feeling. If we agree, what exactly would you need from us? Use your influence to make the transition peaceful, Lisa replied. Help convince your people that joining the Federation is the right choice. Share your knowledge and experience to help build something better than what came before. General Raxmore nodded slowly. And in return? In return, your species survive and prosper as part of something larger than any one empire could ever be, Lisa said. Your children grow up in a galaxy where their worth is determined by what they contribute, not which species they were born into. The silence that followed was different from the shocked quiet that had filled the chamber earlier. This was the silence of creatures who had spent their lives fighting, finally considering the possibility of peace. Prime Counselor Jalen looked around at her fellow representatives, then back at Lisa Hayes. Commander, we will need to speak with our governments. But I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we are ready to discuss terms. Lisa smiled, and for the first time since entering the chamber, it was a genuinely warm smile. Then let us begin building a better galaxy together. 6 months had passed since the day that changed the galaxy forever. Lisa Hayes stood on the observation deck of the UES Liberty, Earth's newest and largest starship. Through the massive windows, she could see the construction of something that had never existed before in galactic history. Humans, Nexari, Corvin, Zephyrian, and Hegemony workers were building together in space, creating the first capital station of the Terran Federation. The transition had been smoother than anyone had expected. 3 of the 4 alien empires had chosen to join the Federation immediately after that historic meeting in the council chamber. The Hegemony had tried to fight, but their resistance lasted only 3 days before Admiral Kelton himself called Earth to surrender. Captain Danny Rodriguez walked up beside Lisa. He had been her assistant for many years, and now he helped her manage the complex job of bringing former enemies together. He carried a datapad with the daily reports from across Federation space. Ma'am, The integration process is going better than we hoped, Danny said. The former Corvin worlds are adapting to Federation law much faster than expected. General Raxmore has been very helpful in convincing his people that cooperation is the smart choice. Lisa nodded as she watched a group of Corvon and human engineers working on the same section of the space station. Fear can be a good teacher, Danny. Raxmore knows that we could have wiped out his entire species if we had wanted to. Offering them equality instead of death was probably the best psychological move we could have made. The Nexari are doing well, too, Danny continued. Prime Counselor Jalen has been elected as the governor of the Veltar system. Her people seem to like having a leader who actually answers to them, instead of to some distant emperor. Lisa smiled at that. It was amazing how much better governments worked when the people in charge had to explain their decisions to the citizens. They served. What about the Zephyrians? Lord Kekstar has been appointed as trade coordinator for all the former Confederacy worlds, Danny replied. Turns out he is actually very good at business when he is not trying to cheat everyone. Trade income in those sectors is up 40% since they joined the Federation. Through the window, Lisa could see Lord Kekstar's crystal form moving among a group of human and alien traders. His natural understanding of complex deals was helping the Federation build stronger economic ties between different worlds. Instead of using his skills to destroy competitors, he was now using them to help everyone prosper. And Admiral Kelton? Lisa asked. He requested assignment to the Federation Naval Academy as an instructor, Danny said. He says he wants to teach the next generation of officers how to avoid the mistakes his generation made. Lisa was impressed. By that, the six-armed admiral had taken his defeat with surprising grace once he understood that cooperation was better than extinction. His knowledge of multi-fleet tactics was now helping train the Federation's new mixed-species Navy. Danny hesitated before continuing with his report. Ma'am, there has been a message from Earth Command. They want to know if you are interested in a new assignment. Lisa raised an eyebrow. I thought my war was finally over. Not your war exactly, ma'am. Earth intelligence has been monitoring long-range communications from outside our galaxy. There appears to be a coalition of species in the Andromeda Galaxy that has been planning an invasion of our galaxy for over 100 years. Lisa's expression became more serious. What do they call themselves? The hegemony of pure thought, ma'am. They seem to believe that our galaxy is filled with primitive biological life forms that need to be cleansed for the greater good of the universe. Lisa's smile returned, but it was the same predatory smile she had worn in the council chamber 6 months ago. How many species in this coalition? Intelligence estimates 47 different civilizations, ma'am. They appear to be highly advanced and completely unified in their goal of eliminating what they consider inferior races. Timeline for their invasion? Approximately 50 years, ma'am. They are already sending long-range scout ships to study our defenses. Lisa looked out at the construction project, where former enemies were now working as friends and partners. In 50 years, the Terran Federation would be the largest, most advanced, and most powerful civilization the galaxy had ever seen. They would have the combined knowledge, resources, and military strength of dozens of different species. Danny, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them I accept the assignment. She paused and added with a thoughtful expression, also, I want detailed files on all 47 species in this hegemony of pure thought. I need to know everything about their politics, their economics, their military structures, and most importantly, their weaknesses. Planning another long-term infiltration campaign, ma'am? Lisa's reflection in the window showed the same calm, calculating look she had worn when facing the alien council. Danny, by the time the hegemony of pure thought reaches our galaxy, they are going to discover that their own coalition has mysteriously fallen apart due to internal conflicts, leadership failures, and strategic disasters they never saw coming. She turned away from the window and walked toward her office, already beginning to plan humanity's next great operation. After all, we have learned that the best way to win a war is to make sure it is over before the enemy knows it has begun. As Lisa walked through the corridors of the UES Liberty, she passed crew members from a dozen different species working together. Humans and Nexari shared technical knowledge. Corvin and Zephyrian officers planned patrol routes together. Former hegemony soldiers trained alongside Federation Marines in the intelligence section of the ship. Lisa sat down at her desk and began reviewing the first reports about the Andromeda threat. The hegemony of pure thought believed they were dealing with a galaxy full of primitive biological species that would be easy to conquer. They had no idea that their own destruction was already being planned by the same woman who had brought down 4 galactic empires. Lisa opened a new file on her computer and began typing. The title read, Operation Andromeda, Phase 1, Intelligence Gathering and Agent Insertion. She had 50 years to work with this time, which was more than enough to completely infiltrate and destabilize an entire galaxy's worth of civilizations. The hegemony of pure thought would learn the same lesson that the Nexari, Corvin, Zephyrian, and original hegemony had learned. Never underestimate humanity. Never mock those who seem weak. And never, ever threaten human colonies without expecting consequences that would last for generations. As Lisa worked on her plans. Communication. Signals flowed through the ship's systems. Messages between Federation worlds carried news of trade agreements, cultural exchanges, joint research projects, and peaceful cooperation between species that had been enemies for centuries. None of those routine transmissions mentioned that, deep in the ship's intelligence section, the most dangerous human in the galaxy was already beginning the most ambitious covert operation in history. The hegemony of pure thought had made the mistake of planning humanity's destruction. They would not live to regret that error. 50 years earlier, Catherine Walsh had sat in the Galactic Council chamber and listened to powerful aliens plan her species' extinction. They had laughed at her, not knowing that their mockery would eventually topple empires across the galaxy. Now, a new generation of aliens in a distant galaxy was making the same mistake. They were planning to invade and destroy the Terran Federation, not knowing that their plans were already being monitored by the woman who had brought down civilizations that had lasted for thousands of years. Lisa Hayes had spent her entire adult life proving that humans should never be underestimated. She had turned the galaxy's greatest empires into willing allies through a combination of intelligence, patience, and ruthless strategic planning. The hegemony of pure thought was about to learn that some lessons never change. Mock humanity at your own risk, because the quiet woman standing in the corner might be the one who topples empires. In the vastness of space, human ships patrolled Federation territory alongside vessels from dozens of former enemy species. The galaxy was finally at peace, unified under a government that valued cooperation over conquest. But in the depths of space, far beyond the edge of the galaxy, alien minds were planning invasion and genocide. They believed they were preparing to conquer primitive biological life forms. They had no idea they were about to face Lisa Hayes. The war for the Andromeda Galaxy had already begun. The enemy just did not know it yet.